North Huntington Township Board of Commissioners special meeting Thursday, May 10th at 7 p.m. to order. Manager Silka, roll call.
Commissioner Harold. Here. Commissioner Bertani.
Here.
Commissioner Blasco.
Here.
Commissioner Martino.
Here.
Commissioner Bevan.
Here.
Commissioner Casera.
Here.
Commissioner Higas.
Here. Could everyone please stand and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? If any residents would like to speak tonight, if you could please sign the book at the podium. The first citizen today is Cindy Tathers. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please. You can come up to the podium.
My name is Cindy Tatters at 3700 State Route 136, Greensburg, PA. I have a business at 14139 Route 30. It's called Poochie's. And my business partner is here with me also. It's Pet Cashflow. The reason I'm here this evening is we had an incident occur sometime during the night or
Thank you. The way citizens input works, we get all the citizens input and then we'll have a response to. Thank you.
There was also the wallet and key left on the premises by this gentleman. Had a hotel key on room number 12. I don't have a picture of that, but I would like to leave a copy of the police report, and I'd like to leave pictures
Thank you.
of the damage. Can I bring it up?
Yeah, that's fine. Just watch your step. Thanks. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next citizen tonight is Carol Cutler. Just please state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. I am Carol Cutler. My address is 529 Brownstown Road, North Huntington. Before I start, I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank all those officials present here tonight for your service to the county. Now, it's not always easy as reference what we just heard. I am here on, as advocating for the district lines for our congressional and legislative districts to be drawn by an independent citizens commission in lieu of how it has been done previously, which, as you may know, resulted in a Supreme Court case calling the results gerrymandering. What we would like, as I said, is a independent citizen commission, and that would have to be put in place by legislation at the state level. So you may ask, what am I doing here in front of you? I'm asking that you consider a resolution that would be presented to our legislators. If I may, I would like to give you copies of the resolution and the supporting materials, and respectfully ask that you give all due consideration to passing it unanimously. And you would thereby be signaling the support of a body representing 30,000 people to our legislators that this is a good thing. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, that's all the citizens we have signed in today. Response to citizens input. I guess we can talk to Lieutenant McHenskey about some follow-up on that investigation, and we can try to get back to you. I'm sure they have your contact information, so they can reach out to you, and we can hopefully get you a response back. Mm-hmm. Any other discussion on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then Mrs. Cutler, some Fair Districts, PA. This is the first I heard about it, but I'll definitely take a look at it, and we can discuss it as a board and see if we have any interest of moving forward with something of that nature. Any other discussion?
No.
Okay, moving on to work session discussion topics. Manager Silka.
Okay, I have 2 items to discuss. The first being is that in February the board passed authorization for me to go with the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement System and see what we need to do for in-service distributions for our plan, which allows our non-uniform service pension people, once they reach their retirement age of 60, to retire, and at the same time they can continue working and collect their pensions if they so wish, and the board so wishes. We did get the plan back. We updated the plan, and their attorneys forwarded the documents to us with the requirement that we need to pass an ordinance, and they provided the ordinance for us. So what I'm going to ask is that, this ordinance has been passed every time the plan has been changed. Our plan came into effect July of 1981. This current plan has all the latest updated legalese that the state requires for the pension and the IRS requires. So this would give us the in-service distributions. And right now it only affects one person, as you have to have 20 years and 60 years of age to qualify for the in-service distribution. So I'm going to ask for action at the next meeting for the board to adopt this ordinance.
Any discussion? I will move forward, put it on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. My second order tonight is going to be, as we have the retirements in the police department forthcoming, we are going to be losing to retirement 2 sergeants and the lieutenant. We currently don't have an active promotions list for sergeants or lieutenants, so I'm going to be asking the board to direct the Civil Service Commission to conduct the required testing to be able to establish us a promotions list for lieutenants and sergeants. And that is all that I have for discussion tonight.
All right, thank you. Moving on, plan and engineering topics. Mr. Blanco.
There are 5 items to introduce to you tonight. The first one is the Rissler Metalli lot consolidation. This is on Sunset Avenue. This is a situation that arose where an addition was built on a home and an in-ground pool was installed. At that time, we realized that there were actually 2 separate lots with the lot line going through the middle of the house. So they are filing this to consolidate the 2 lots to bring everything into compliance. No real issues with the layout. You can see there on the screen the brown is the home, the blue is the pool, and it's just a matter of removing the lot line between them. Planning Commission recommends approval of this. Okay, next item is the Kunkel plan, and this is a boundary line adjustment on McCannon Road, whereby approximately half an acre would be transferred from the Kunkel lot, which is almost 9 acres, to the Salopek lot, making the Salopek lot now a total of 1 acre. They just want to increase their elbow room a little bit in the back, and Kunkels have room to spare, so they agreed to convey that land to them. Doesn't change the compliance or anything on the 2 lots. No questions?
Nope.
Third item is the Marks consolidation. This is these are 2 of many lots that are up on Johnson Avenue, kind of sandwiched up between the railroad tracks and Sheridan Terrace. And the lots were laid out way back in the 30s or 40s, very, very small lots. It's zoned industrial. Tony Marks would like to put a commercial, like a garage for a contractor's operation where they could park their trucks indoors up there. It's adjacent to where John Brensel has his base of operations. But the lots as they are just so small, you really can't do anything with them. So he would like to tie those 2 together so that he can build a building on that lot. Planning Commission is in favor of that. Okay, the next 2 items concern sheet stores. We thought they were done growing, but apparently not. The first one is a sheet store at Rhonda and Route 30, and they would like to get a liquor license to sell beer. And I don't understand the ins and outs of the liquor license law, but the type of license that they want to get requires them to have seating, indoor seating for 30 patrons. So what they would like to do is add on to the store. It will eliminate a bit of the outdoor seating that they have now and exchange that for some indoor seating. There's an overlay you can see on the screen. They propose to add a vestibule on the north side of the store. That would be on the left side of the screen. And interestingly enough, that's due to the fire code. Once they get over a certain size, they have to have a vestibule so that when the door opens, there's not a backdraft. But the piece on the lower side of the screen will become an indoor dining room. You can see that in the bottom left of the screen there for 30 patrons. And you oftentimes see people at Sheets at lunchtime having a sandwich at lunchtime outdoors. This would give that same opportunity if it's February or not pleasant enough to sit outside. I've seen this in the Sheets at Breezewood, which I seem to spend way too much time visiting. And they have a television in there, and people just kind of take a break from driving and chill out for a little bit. So it does require 3 waivers from the ordinance, which they have requested. The first is that the vestibule would be right against the parking stalls. Our ordinance says that you have to have parking 10 feet from the building. So they are intending to push that vestibule out. It would be against these brown pipe bollards that you can see in the photo. On the right side of that photo is where the indoor dining room would be built. That would be within 3 feet of the parking spaces. Again, the waiver that's necessary there is that you are supposed to be 10 feet from the building, and you're supposed to have a 5-foot sidewalk. They would only have a 3-foot sidewalk against the parking at that point. They note, and I can't disagree, that it would only affect 3 or 4 parking spaces. It's not going to be the whole perimeter of the building. And then the third waiver they request is a waiver of perimeter landscaping around the building. That had been waived when they built the original buildings there because of the canopies. You can't expect anything to grow when it doesn't get water underneath the overhang. So that's really just a continuation of the waiver that they received, I guess, about 6 years ago. This is where the vestibule would go, just past that outdoor storage of the windshield washer fluid. And then there is still some outdoor dining on the far side of the store. There's some tables that are set in the ground there. So everything is fine from a design standpoint, except for those 3 waivers that would be needed. And the Planning Commission felt those were relatively minor compared to the whole site, and they were recommending that those be granted. The next item is concerning the sheet store at North Thompson Lane. And that store was expanded, I believe 2009, maybe 2010, in anticipation of beer sales. They added some additional cooler space inside. And the end result of that store was kind of an odd shape, that it has a point that comes out on the front. What they are proposing to do is square off that point and build an addition on both sides of it. Part of that would be for cooler space, as you can see in the bottom left corner, and part of that would be for the indoor dining room. Here, because of the layout of the floor plan, they can accommodate 32 seats. They again need a waiver because they will not have 10 feet from the building to the parking stalls. They will not have they will not have 5 feet of sidewalk. They will have 4 feet of sidewalk. But they point out that because of the pipe bollards that they put in, there's no possibility of a car overhanging the curb. It would have to knock down the pipes first, which is true. This is what the store looks like now. That point would go away, and then the sidewalk there, which is 4 feet, would continue all along the front there. In both cases, on both sheet stores, the addition would match the building in terms of brick and metal facade and so forth. This is a view from the other side. Those 2 outdoor tables would be displaced, and then those would be part of the indoor dining area when the project is done. They are going to move one handicap space to the other side of the store. It's not in a very good space now, difficult to get into the store. And again, the Planning Commission, they actually said that they thought they should kind of get a pat on the back for their electric car charging stations. They felt that that was an environmentally friendly thing and made them more prone to grant a waiver on these. So they recommend approval with the 3 requested waivers.
Any questions for Andy?
Yeah, a couple quick questions, Andy. The get-go down here at the bottom where Palorino's is that still going to go?
I have not heard anything more about that. I had talked to Ron Palorino, let's say maybe November, about that, and his question was, could they flip the canopy where you drive through and pay for your car wash to the other side of the building? There's really no reason they couldn't. It just means you traverse the site in a clockwise direction instead of counterclockwise. But I don't know why nothing more has happened on that yet.
Okay.
It may depend on whether they follow through with the plan to do the one out in Jeanette, where that, I can't think what they call it, but the Eaton Park Diner, that classic diner that they did, right across the street from that where the PNC Bank is.
Right.
They've bought that, and the plan was to put one there. So maybe it was either or maybe both will happen, but I don't know where that stands right now.
Okay. One other, I was unable to make the Monday night meeting planning. What's going on with the handyman project out there?
They are going to have an application in here Monday for the June Planning Commission meeting.
Okay, good.
They were at the meeting, they were seeking input on their plan, but I let them know they needed to have something in there by Monday, or their occupancy permit would be revoked.
Okay, thank you.
Andy, if Sheets were to maintain that 10-foot boundary and we remove those parking spots, would they still be in compliance with the number of spots needed on all their sites? To, I guess, be up to code on those?
They are tight.
Okay.
I won't kid you. They are very tight. And if you're there at lunchtime, you know what I'm talking about. I've found that with those Tesla parking spaces, if you kind of read between the lines on the signs, you're allowed to park there. But people shy away from it because they think if they don't have a Tesla, they're not allowed to use that space. So I find those spaces being kind of empty. But they are right on the edge of what they need. I won't kid you.
Okay. Now,
They meet it, but they're very tight.
does that pose any safety hazard for pedestrians coming in and out the front doors, the building entrances? I mean, are they going to have the steel, I guess, barricades still in front of the sidewalks? Is that going to be maintained there?
The front door, I'm sorry, I didn't bring a laser pointer.
That's
but
okay.
Is in the bottom right corner of the screen. So it tilts back 45 degrees. So you're still under roof when you come out of that door. So you do have plenty of room to come out the door and get your bearings and figure out which way you're headed before you're stepping into traffic.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Andy.
You're welcome.
Andy, I know that you probably can't answer these questions. The Liquor Control Board has oversight. However, you know, lots of the Sheets employ students who aren't 21 years old. So are they going to be able to sell the beer to customers, or is this going, or because it's self-serve, is it a different ballgame?
I don't know the answer to that.
I just have a lot of questions about serving alcohol at these particular sites.
So you know, that's strictly regulated. At all the Sheets, you can only purchase alcohol at a specific window, register. And it is an adult there at the register.
Okay.
The kids aren't allowed to touch it, and they're not allowed to sell it. They're not allowed to participate in any fashion in the sale. So it's inconvenient. You know, you go over and take a six-pack or whatever you're going to take, bring it up, and you get in line. And if you're not in the right line, they're going to move you over to another line because it has to be an adult.
Now, is this person, the adult in the room, is this person accountable for
Yes.
how many beers a person
Yeah,
purchases?
they have regulations. They're only allowed to, I think they're only allowed to drink 2 beers on site. You can't drink any more than that. You have to take it off-site. Again, you're limited to 2 six-packs, just like you are in a bar.
Okay, and do they monitor, is this beer given to someone else? You know,
You mean after it gets out of the store, they don't
well,
take-
no, in the store. I
Oh.
mean, you know, you could purchase 2 and
Well,
get one to a buddy.
So
who
you know, the
might
liquor
not be.
control boards watch, I mean, that's the province of the LCB. They'll send agents out, just like they do in a bar, and see how many six-packs you pick up or who you're giving the beer to within the bar. If you violate that, you may lose your liquor license.
So they're going to monitor these stores fairly closely.
I'm sure that they will. I'm sure that all these questions that you've raised have been raised several times, and Sheets is well aware of it. At least I know that. I'm certain of that.
The gentleman that was at the Planning Commission meeting from Sheets said that they will actually sell individual cans or bottles of beer at this store.
Yeah,
And
they'll
actually,
sell
the kind
one.
of license they're getting, he said it, I think he used the word, it's a tavern license.
Yeah.
Which is why they have to have the seats.
That's why they have to have the seating, right? They don't have, the LCB, Pennsylvania doesn't have a license for the sale of beer in a gas station or a supermarket. And now you see at the Giant Eagles, they're doing the same thing. They're setting up a small restaurant inside of these places to be able to comply with the requirement of the tavern license where you have something to eat or offer something to eat.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else for Andy? Thank you, Mr. Blanco. Any further board comments, discussion?
Motion to adjourn.
I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Meeting adjourned at 7:24. A short executive session to follow, discussing police matters and administrative personnel discussion.